Hey guys, it's Verity Cosplay here for part 2 of the introduction video into the Mom of All Heroes kit. Today we're going to be talking about the actual breakdown and a discussion of each of the parts. I figured I would start off with just a scale comparison so you guys can see how the Mom of All Heroes kit stacks up against other well-known hilts, especially given that the Ultimate Hero's biggest criticism was in terms of its size and its scale. So in the front here we have the Mom of All Heroes kit. Then we have the Solos Hold 2019 version of the V2. And then here we have the ever favorite A New Hope Obi-Wan Mark 1 fashioned by Roman's Props. So we have very clear supporting evidence of the lineage theory, which has been bandied around for years and for mostly well accepted. You can see how various components of the hilt, for the most part, line up in terms of milestones. And that is actually also true for the Luke Hero saber as well. So I will take these out of the way, but I just wanted to give you guys an example of what that looks like, how things stack up. So clearly this is going to be a decent sized hilt and consistent with the other hilts we all know and love. So as we get to the individual pieces, I will talk about, some of the design decisions we made, some of the intricacies of our hilt and how it differs from some of the other offerings available in the market. So this is going to be how the kit will arrive assembled along with the additional parts, but this is how the kit will arrive, minus the tri-ring here, which I'll get to. So it'll come pre-assembled, and I just want to walk you guys through each individual piece of this hilt, how to break it down, and kind of talk about what we're doing. So you've got the pommel cap, which unscrews right behind the pommel cubes, and it is also canon accurate. Some people talk about this kind of shadow ring around the hole. I know that certain replicas actually have a physical ledge here. Through deep analysis of the photographs, we didn't feel that it was actually a physical ledge. We actually believe it's a scoring mark as a result of the original piece inside of the lathe, and you actually get some chuck chatter and chuck turning. So if you want, as an end user, to be able to replicate that, the best way to do that is take a really shallow drill bit, center it inside this hole, not so deep that it actually cuts the hole, but center it inside of that hole with the chuck actually butted up against the back of this cap. Give it a couple quick turns, and you're going to get that same scoring mark that actually appears on the original prop. All of the individual chamfers, diameters, length, everything matches the original Mom of All Heroes, the original MoM cave prop that went on exhibition. So in addition to the static end cap, the kit will also come with a normal vented pommel cap as part of the standard kit. These obviously match in dimensions and everything. Easy quick swap if you actually have an install, so you can put the static kit in when you're displaying it, and you can put the vented kit in when you're actually using it. As part of the Elite kit, we are also going to be, in addition to sending a hidden vented pommel cap, which gives you a chance to actually kind of blend the look between the static and the vented with this hidden vented. Now, I know a lot of the criticism with hidden vented pommel caps is that the sound is reduced, muffled, kind of choked off. We actually did a careful design looking at proper sound venting, proper sound imaging, proper sound bouncing, and I've actually done some preliminary testing between the standard vented and the hidden vented pommel caps, and the sound difference actually is pretty negligible when using a 28mm wow sound speaker, just to give you guys a sense of what we actually used as a test. So moving on, then what you have is the next component working from the back forward, which is the pommel gear or the sync knob. And what we actually have done different also from many of the kits out there is that these individual tapers on a lot of the replicas are actually a straight taper. There's a couple of replicas, or to my knowledge, the only other replica out there that actually produces kind of this compound arc is Dave P's Static Hero offering, and that is very similar to what it is. But there's actually, when looking at the original Magic of Myth prop, there's actually appears to be 3 different arcs happening in these individual tapers, and we've actually reproduced that. And that's actually what gives you kind of this shadow ring on the front and back of the sync knob. Obviously, we've got the nips coming out of the side of the valleys, and you know, everything lines up there. The tri-ring will not come assembled with the kit. It came as part of this sample, and what we learned was, you know, the factory kind of over clamped it closed, which actually deformed the tri-ring. So we wanted to ensure that the final product will ship with the tri-ring unattached, and that also has the additional benefit if you want to actually weather it, you know, artificially rust it like it's like the MoM's current state of the tri-ring. You can do that before you actually mount it. If you're looking for ways to actually do that, what I've found to be successful in the past is you take this mild steel and you actually boil it in hydrogen peroxide. Obviously, you want to use a very well lit, a well ventilated area to do that, to be safe, but that'll actually cause a very rapid rusting of this mild steel. So the next piece is this actually unscrews right here. One of the questions I've heard a lot of is why did we put the joint here instead of actually in this notch here in the main body? We may come back and look at that if we ever do a Gen 2 of this hilt, but the specific break here was actually an explicit decision. And the reason we made that explicit decision was we wanted to maximize the compartment itself. And when you actually put a break here, you have to deal with the female threads and the male threads, which actually constricts the available compartment space. And with, you know, embedding in NeoPixel technology being the big thing, larger batteries are a critical piece of that. And we wanted to make sure this was the largest capacity cavern as possible to support things like the larger batteries, particularly the 21700 lithium-ion battery. Based on, you know, everything we've seen, a lithium-ion 21700 should fit in this back half of the saber, along with, you know, most of your premier soundboards as well as, you know, your 28mm speaker. So then this piece unscrews here, obviously at the grenade, which separates the main body from the forward half of the hilt, which I will set off to the side for a moment. So the control box is actually mounted to the main body using 2 M3 hex head screws. So the first tool you actually need to disassemble this hilt is going to be a number 2 Allen key or a number 2 bit driver to be able to seat yourself into the head of these screws. You just loosen these. I'm just using a bit driver because it's quick and convenient. So when you actually loosen those up, you'll be able to remove the box and from the main body. The screws that are included are actually a little on the longer side. They're going to kind of intrude into the main body of the hilt. That was a little bit intentional because we don't yet know what our chassis is going to look like, and we may want to leverage those screws to actually help hold part of the chassis captive. If you happen to not want that, you have options there. You can either grind the tip of the screw off, or you can go out and get shorter screws, which is pretty easy to do. They're just M3 countersunk, you know, kind of angle head screws, and you can either use slotted screws or you can use hex if you choose to go off and buy, you know, separate aftermarket screws. Once you actually remove those, the box assembly will come off. Your main body is then separate. The other thing I want to talk about here is the front of this main body actually also has another feature a lot of people might miss. The chamfer, there's actually a chamfer at the front of this main body where it connects with the grenade. And a lot of offerings actually have a straight cut there, and we actually produced that chamfer just like the original prop does. So you set that off to the side. Now you've got your control box, which actually consists of 4 main pieces. You've got the rail canoe here, which will just slide right up, or like that. Once you remove that, then you've got your main box, your black buttons, and your triangle plate. Your triangle plate does not need to be glued. It's actually held captive on the top by this rail canoe, and on the bottom by M1.6 slotted screws. The shaft length of those screws is 2 millimeters. So generally, if you do happen to lose one of the provided screws, you're actually going to want to get a M1.6 slotted 3 millimeter length screw, because the specification includes the 3 millimeter, includes the 1 millimeter of the head. So that unscrews, and you can remove the face plate. You can hop swap with the Idealaze plate, which we are also, including as part of the Elite kit. And once you actually remove the rail canoe, the black buttons structure will come off. Now, the interesting thing about the black button, much again looking at the original prop, there is actually a structure that joins these where it goes about halfway from top to bottom and halfway from front to back. And that's actually what holds these pieces together, which is actually replicated from the original prop. A lot of times when you see black button switch based sabers, you see it done one of 2 ways. You either have a rotating pivot pin to kind of actuate them, or these are separate structures with a bracket. We actually went with a floating rocker design, and as a result of that, it's really convenient because it's a single structure and it allows us to produce the authentic effect of the original prop. On the back of the black button structure, you're going to see these 2 small holes here. That's for a compression spring, and that will just add additional tension that will push it away from the body to avoid any sort of phantom clicks with the tactile switches inside. So then you get to the front of the hilt. The static end cap here, we actually produced all of the individual artifacts that were part of the original prop. We've got the original turning marks here, and the texturing. It's not a straight cut, but the original prop actually has kind of this turning. We've got the mystery divot that shows up here, which we later actually found out that is actually a sunken slotted screw that has been ground down and then covered in paint. So if you want to do this as a do yourself accuracy mod later, we actually have got that there for a guide if you actually want to drill and tap to be able to do that. But we just are shipping that with the divot. Obviously we've got the side screw here. These unscrew, and obviously there is a blade, FX blade holder version as well, which is here, and that screws on. They're all compatible in the same way. The blade retention screw is actually hidden inside, so when it's actually assembled and screwed on, there's no visible outward indication that it's actually an FX saber with a blade retention screw. And the other interesting thing with the Elite kit is that this entire assembly now, with the caps removed, is actually going to be a hot swappable item. And we're going to be providing, as part of the Elite kit, the idealized grenades as well, with duplicates of each of the individual wind vanes, and be able to actually hot swap in an installed saber. So when you actually get into it, it comes with 2 cups. There is a NeoPixel cup and a LED cup. Those will screw in to this neck sleeve, which I will show you in a minute in terms of disassembling. And that's actually what holds this assembly together. Introducing the other tool you're going to need to remove to disassemble the saber is going to be a set of round nose pliers. And the reason for that is the neck sleeve actually has 2 divots, which actually act as the way to loosen that. And you just give it a little nudge. It'll actually unscrew. Obviously, you will see with the wind vanes, you can see that they're not threaded on top, and there's actually a socket in the bottom of the emitter bell which actually allows the seam of the wind vane to completely vanish when it's actually fully assembled. When you unscrew this, you'll actually unscrew this neck sleeve, and when you unscrew it, it'll come out. And now you've actually got the grenade and you've got the wind vane separate. From in here, now what the other element of this particular kit, which is really advantageous, is this is actually a very, very robust steel neck sleeve that introduces a ton of strength for this. A lot of criticism comes out with thin neck sabers that when you get into heavy dueling, they're just too thin and that it's a weak point. This neck sleeve adds a tremendous amount of strength because it's so thick, yet still allows for a generous wiring channel. And obviously now that this is out, I can show you how these cups screw in. So this is your pixel cup that would be screwed in, assuming this is all assembled. That will just screw in. And that gives you your pixel, as well as the copper LED heatsink cup here. So they're all compatible threads. They would screw in. So now you've got the neck. The other thing that you do is you just unscrew the wind vane here. This is actually the bronze wind vane on camera right now. And you've got your grenade. And you've got your wind vane. So the other additional wind vanes we're going to be offering, included in the kit, is an aluminum wind vane for those that want to paint and use the original antique gold. And then we also have the beryllium copper, which when it arrives will be very kind of almost yellowish, almost like a brass, but eventually it will redden because it is actually a higher copper content than the bronze. But the bronze actually is very beautiful and actually achieves, once it's got a patina, is actually going to be very, very, very similar to the original paint job on the original prop. So that is how this is all broken down. With the Elite kit, there's also going to be some additional support for a 7/8 inch blade. It will come with an adapter and a 7-inch blade plate. And what you would do when you were actually wanting to use a 7-inch blade is you would not install any of the cups. And you would instead, you would just, put this all together with the neck sleeve, and then you would actually have your pogo holder for your connector just at the bottom of the floor of the socket. Now, with a 7/8 blade install, it's a very shallow socket, so I would caution against any sort of heavy dueling, but it is definitely possible. Certainly, the strongest configuration is going to be the 1-inch blade setup. So that's how it's all broken down. Obviously, if there's any questions, please feel free to leave a comment, leave a question, and I might do a part 3. But this is generally how the MoM of All Heroes breaks down, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Until next time.